Om. Yasyantarnadimadhyam nahi karacharanam namagotram na sutram no jatirnaiva varna na bhavati purusho na napumsam na cha stri nakaram no vikaram nahi janimaranam nasti punyam na papam tattvam no tattvamekam sahaja samarasam sadgurum tam namami सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रम् भुवनम् समस्तम् गुहाहितम् तम् रमणम् गभीरम् चिन्ताविहीनम् हृदि चिन्तयामि देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधियां दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् करुणापूर्णसुधाब्धे कबलितघनविश्वरूपकिरणावल्याम् अरुणाचलपरमात्मन् अरुणो भव चित्तकञ्जसुविकासाय त्वयि अरुणाचल सर्वं भूत्वा स्थित्वा प्रलीनमेतच्चित्रम् हृद्यहमित्यात्मतया नृत्यसि भोः ते वदन्ति हृदयं नाम अहमिति कुत आयातीत्यन्विष्यान्तः प्रविष्टयात्यमलधियाम् अवगम्य स्वं रूपं शाम्यत्यरुणाचलत्वयि नदीवाब्धौ त्यक्त्वा विषयं बाह्यं रुद्धप्राणेन रुद्धमनसान्तस्त्वाम् ध्यायन् पश्यति योगी दीधितिम् अरुणाचलत्वयि महीयं ते त्वय्यर्पितमनसा त्वां पश्यन् सर्वं तवाकृतितयां सततं भजते अनन्यप्रीत्या स जयत्यरुणाचलत्वयि सुखे मग्नः हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं ह्यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता वाम् पवनचलनरोधाद् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् यस्माज्जातं जगत्सर्वं यस्मिन्नेव प्रलीयते येनेदं धार्यते चैव तस्मै ज्ञानात्मने नमः. We started this satsang very informally in Tamil, but when more people started coming in English, then we switched over to English. I'm seeing very familiar faces. I feel they were not informed. But it was very, very informal. Anyhow, the subject that is being taken here is Bhagavan Ramana's Ulladu Narpadu. And we have already seen the first 3 verses in that work. So the first, I will again and again repeat certain things. It will help everyone. In Bhagavad Gita there is a verse where Krishna says, I am both existence and non-existence. Sad Asad Chaham Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, I am Sat, I am Asad. And Bhagavan Ramana in this work begins with Sat. And the second verse he deals with the Asat. That is, first verse he deals with existence, the self, the awareness, the real nature of I. And the second verse, he reveals the other side, death. Of course, we know the story of Bhagavan, that exploring death, he found that there is no death. And we have already contemplated on that topic, but it needs immense meditation to understand what is death. It is not that simply the body lies there and taken to cremation ground or burial ground. That is very simple. Because you are not going to experience it any time. Only others will do the thing. But while living, you have to see death. And I have already told, it is not the death of physical body. The entire unreality that is in front of you is given the name death. And the contemplation on death, mrityu, the purpose of that contemplation is very valuable because it awakens something which is very essential for spiritual life. We have already spoken, yesterday we spoke elaborately about that. Spiritual life is not some special day experience. Every day when we come across spiritual seekers in Tiruvannamalai, they are speaking about special experience. When we sat in Bhagavan Samadhi, we had this, we had that. And especially, I am not making fun, but Westerners, when they say all Bharatanatyam will be there. So much of outburst, explosion, everything will be there. No? So sometimes I used to wonder, oh Bhagavan, I never had this experience. So these kind of ecstatic experiences come and go. Bhagavan said in Ramanacharanatirtha, enough of this coming and going. He said to Arunachala, Pokku varavu illa poduveliyenil arul porattam kaattu en Arunachala. He said, Arunachala, let this sport of boxing between grace and my ego come to a grand fulfillment. Arul Poratam means it is the fight, the boxing between the grace of the inner being and my ego or my destiny, whatever you may call it. This is life. So even if you have a very grand spiritual experience, even after that, this nonsense is going to continue for some more time. It is simply nonsense. We Vedantically call it with some grand name Prarabdha. the nonsense which has forcefully begun long back, and will see to it that you are arrested even after self-realization. That is why a Jivan Mukta is available in the world. So one Vedanta Jnani, one Mahatma wrote a verse where he said, Prarabdhaya Namaskurmaha. He said, we are not bowing down to Ishvara, we are not bowing down to Jnani, we are bowing down to that force called Prarabdha, because of which Guru is available. Okay, so this Prarabdha is a very mysterious thing, that it is for everyone, it is unique. You cannot learn from anybody. Even self is very simple. You can learn from any authentic teacher and know that you are that. It is same. But this thing which is sitting before me, nobody is same. Every body is different. Every mind is different. Every day it is different. And this phenomenon is called Prarabdha, about which you will come and talk to me. Telling me, I had this problem, I have that problem, this problem, that. And what can I do? I can never understand, because so the way I have found is, if you continue to tell like that, I will start telling my problems to you. Then you will feel comfortable, because yours is less. Then you will feel, oh, he has so many problems, so better not tell this. So this is the story of Prarabdha. This is destiny. This is life. And this, another name we can call, this is the field of Shakti, the power. And the self about which Bhagavan spoke is the realm of Shiva, mere existence. No change, changeless principle. You hold to it, you have anchorage there. Then you have a divine resolve in you to have delight in the dance of this force around you. It's Ananda. The inner thing is Shanti, that is peace. And the Shakti around you, it will not be always happiness. It will not be always pleasure. It will bring in pleasure, it will bring in pain. But you start recognizing the essential energy as Ananda, as bliss, as the force of the divine, the self. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. The Upanishad says, there your spiritual education comes to fulfillment, where you recognize that this Ananda is Brahman. Whether with closed eyes or open eyes, you have clipped yourself to this oneness. You have anchored in that non-dual principle, whose name is bliss, Ananda. And then you have found the real balance. On one side it is death, there you know how to surrender. On the other side it is the immortal nature, whom you know how to recognize. There you have to recognize as Pratyavijna. And on the other side, you have to learn, ultimately you will be taught the lesson to surrender. You will try to stand up again and again. It will just walk over you. Somewhere Swami Vivekananda has written, because that time Calcutta was full of plague. So he felt that sorrow so much suffering, so much pain. Then he was talking to Divine Mother. What is happening? Then he had a vision of Kali. And he wrote it as a poem where he says, she is dancing the dance of death. These are the words. She is dancing the dance of death. And she is the terrible one. If you want to transcend the terrible, learn to worship the terrible. Unless you worship the terrible, you will never transcend the terrible. You have always a peaceful, beautiful God. Suddenly he appears before you in terrible form. You are not able to recognize him. Remove the dress and see that it is the same person there. He is inside. So, that for making the life completely integrated, Bhagavan gave these two verses. The one is knowledge of the self. The other is knowledge of the death. Death means everything around you. Your body, your mind, your ego, your relationship with anybody, it is all named as death. Mrityoho Rupani. The Upanishad says they are all forms of death. One day or the other they will reveal to you. That is what Buddha also saw. He saw a dead body, he saw old age people, sick people. And suddenly when he came back to his palace, he saw he had a child. And he felt this is also same, suffering. He has come to this world to suffer. A very beautiful verse is there in the Lalita Vistara. Yadi janma jara maranam na bhavet. Yadi cha ishta viyoga bhayam na bhavet. Yadi sarvam anityamidam na bhavet. Iha janma nikasya ratir na bhavet. I will take delight in this life. I will enjoy everything, provided there is no birth, old age, death, sickness, pain of separation. If these things are not there, life is worthwhile to live. But you see all these things running around. No? The Upanishad says the most busiest person around you is death. Says Mrityuhu Dhavati. He is not walking. He is running around you. See, we have seen it enough, no? That most interesting thing that happened for last 2-3 years, no? Corona. Terrified everyone. Their appearance was such that without Corona there is no death. They were talking like that. No? Otherwise also people are dying. Anyhow you are going to die. Some people took it very, very peacefully. One old lady told me, I heard recently that a disease has come. You need not suffer much, only 1 week or 2 weeks. You will die. she was so happily waiting for it. No? You can take it in any way. The other side, people were meditating on Corona. So, death is there, whether it is in the form of a disease, whether it is form of a natural heart attack or anything, that is physical death. But anything that oppresses you, limits you, making you identify with the body is death. Anything that takes away your unlimitedness, the infinity that you are, is death. Any relationship is death, because it is certainly going to imprison you. The food that you are eating, Adyate atticha bhutani. The Upanishad says, you are not eating, my dear, it is eating you. You think you are eating, but while the annam is eating you, it is consuming you. Soon you will be consumed. So, there should be a profound meditation on this to generate vairagya, that immense dispassion. So, Shankaracharya says, the most blissful thing that you can have is to have vairagya. Then you become absolutely free. Vairagyameva abhayam. Bhartrihari says, vairagya gives you absolute fearlessness, unconcerned about anything. Vairagya means dispassion. Not attached to anything, not attached to any person, any incident, any event, wealth, bodily health. Unconcerned about anything. That kind of vairagya is there. Vairagyanna param sukhasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanaha tached shuddhatara atmabodha sahitaha swarajya samrajya dukha. Very beautiful verse. Shankaracharya says, I don't see any other sadhana which will bestow such happiness in a sadhaka like vairagya. And if it is associated with perfect self-knowledge, perfect atma-jnana, then he becomes a chakravarti, a emperor, swarajya samrajya. He is the emperor of swarajya, his own empire, which can never be lost. I've heard about an incident about Swami Ramanacharanatirtha who visited America after Swami Vivekananda. He always used to refer himself as Rama. He never used to say I. That generally certain yogis, they lose that. Suddenly they find it very natural, they will not use I. So he used to refer himself as Rama. And he had a chance, when he was there, he had to meet the American president at that time, Roosevelt. So all his friends, they said, at least when you are talking to him, you should say I. Otherwise he will not understand. That is not what you call decorum. It is not decorum. So he said, okay. But when they were having conversation, instead of saying Rama, he said Emperor Rama. He said Rama is a Chakravarti, Emperor Rama. And naturally, he was curious. Which empire you are ruling, sir? He said the entire universe is Rama's empire. And he need not have an election there. It is constant. His empire will never be lost. And there is no contestant opposition for him. Because the entire universe is his own being, his own self. So this kind of knowledge, so Bhagavan also says the same thing. He says, Oru kudai nijar kove, one ruler under single umbrella. That is Bhagavan's usage. Oru kudai nijar kove. Once you know this, no dvaita, no duality, no conflict, nothing. So the first thing is to have that dispassion. All our prayer must be only to that. Tell Arunachala, give me dispassion. Otherwise, you want self-knowledge, you want everything in the world. It is just like you catch hold of a fast train and you wish to stand without moving in the station. The train will be moving and you want you should be immobile, and you want to hold the train also. It is not possible. So one side there should be the perfect soil of dispassion, vairagya. And in that soil, the seed of jnana must fall and grow perfectly. That is what we saw in Bhagavan. Vairagya means simple. It is the fruit of pure discrimination. You understand you need very little to live. You don't need all these props around you. And you know everything will come to an end. Whatever vision you have, everything will go. Whatever experiences you have, everything will go. And there is only one changeless principle, constant principle in you, which is shining forth in your heart as your own existence, as the implied meaning of I, as aham, aham, as Bhagavan says it, tane, tane, tattvam. He said, real Arunachala is in your heart as tan, as am. You can never miss that Arunachala. Wherever your body may go, to whatever space, whatever time, you can never miss Arunachala. Arunachala has already happened to you as your very being, as your existence within you, as existence, as shining existence. Irundu olir. It exists, it shines forth. And Bhagavan says, the same Arunachala is dancing in you as Nataraja, as aham, aham, as I. Ulla unarvu. Existence is ulladu, and you become aware of it, chit. That is unarvu. The purpose of this listening, this shravana, this is the sadhana which all the great masters have prescribed, listening. Because this is the most subtle, most process that we can do, listen. It's not so easy, We will sit here, but listening, that something has to happen, Listening is the most profound meditation that you can do. On one side you listen, on the other side, the chit, the awareness shines forth. That is why all the shastras are in the form of listening to the teacher. And we don't know when the disciple's inner ear will open. The master will wait. Arjuna was very close to Krishna. Arjuna was a friend of Krishna. From younger days they were very close. They had many pastimes where they used to sport. Never did Arjuna ask Krishna about self-knowledge. He even took sannyasa, a part-time sannyasa for 1 year. He wore the ochre cloth and was wandering about as a mendicant. Then he met Krishna in Dwaraka. Then Krishna thought, this is the right time to teach Arjuna. Because he is wearing the ochre robe and he has taken the resolve, at least for 1 year, to be austere. I will teach him the knowledge of the self. Then Arjuna came to Krishna and said, Krishna, I want to ask you something very personal. Krishna said, come on, what do you want to ask? Who is the girl who is there inside? Krishna said, she is my sister, you take her and get married. That is, Subhadra. I will help you. Because then, the war was about to come. The war. It was not an ashram. They had another time when they were in a forest alone. There, Krishna thought Arjuna will ask about this knowledge. He was waiting. Arjuna, can we have some conversation? He tried to kindle Arjuna. But before Arjuna can wake up, somebody came there, a Brahmin came there, and he asked, can you fight for me? Because Indra is creating problem, you have to fight. In that forest, they had a battle. This is the hurdle, And then, in the battlefield, where he had to fight, see, this is the unpredictability of even spiritual life. You don't know where you will wake up. Sometimes in an ashram you will sleep. In hospital you might wake up. In a battlefield many people have happened like that. So in the battlefield Arjuna woke up. When he had to fight, the war was there, right to start. Then he fell at the feet of Krishna and said, teach me. You are my guru. I am your disciple. I am ready to listen. Then he looked at Arjuna. Krishna looked at Arjuna. There was no body. There was only listening up instrument. Nothing else. Ready to listen. Shravana has opened up. The entire Shakti is there, ready to absorb this knowledge. If it can absorb this knowledge like that, it can instantaneously make you a Jivan Mukta, a Brahmanishta. So he was ready for that. That is why after listening he said, Smrtir Labdha, I have got that recognition. No more delusion. Nashto Mohaha, my delusion is gone. Smrtir Labdha, I have woken up to that recognition. Sthitosmi, now I am stabilized there. Gata Sandehaha, all doubts are gone. Karishye Vachanam Tava, now I can do anything that life demands, that destiny brings before me. I can work. I can do. Whatever you tell me, I will do. See, the surrender happened after the knowledge. Either you know and surrender, or you surrender and know. Both has to happen. So he said, I surrender to you. I am ready to do whatever you tell me. So this happened last. So here, Bhagavan gave both. First, he gave that recognition of the inner being, the self, which is within as the Ullavunarvu, as something which is ever shining forth. And devotees, when they came to Bhagavan, he was not interested in poking their mind. His only attention was in making them recognize that awareness, that changeless principle. Sometimes they used to ask question. He will say, who is asking this question? Sometimes they will say, Bhagavan, I have a doubt. He will ask, who is the doubter? Because he can answer the doubt, but he was not interested. Find out the doubter. Who is having this doubt? It is the I. Look at that I. Hold on to that I. So this is the essential cream, the teaching of Bhagavan. We have seen the first two verses. Third verse also we saw. Nam ulagam kandalal Nanavam Shakti Ula or Mutalai Oppal Urutalaye. As we see the world, generally we have to consider a creator also with so much power. But when you really know yourself, you know Attanayum Tanam Avan. The world, the worldly experience The awareness with which you recognize the world, everything is that one whole. Ekameva advitiyam. Neha nanasti kinchana. There is only one whole. Everything is only He. Attanayum tanam avan. This is the Mahavakya that we had last day, a day before. Yesterday we had some story sessions. So, the Mahavakya, Attanayum tanam avan. Many great sages, they stood to this state. You might bring anyone before them, they will say it is all He. Everything is He. He comes in various forms. It is all the Self, the Atman. Idam sarvam yadayam atma. Whatever is being felt, known, it is all the Atman, the Self. So, okay. Now we come to the second verse. Mummudalai yammadamum murkollum. Or mudale mummudalai nirkum endrum mummudalum. Mummudale. Yennal ahankaram irukkum matte yan kettu tan nilayil nitral talai. Tamil, of course, only if we teach it like a class, it will have some meaning to you. But I am not going to do that. Tannilayil nitral talai. Bhagavan says, see, every verse ends with a Mahavakya. Mahavakya means that itself is enough. Bhagavan says, what is the greatest achievement that you can have? He says, it is to abide in oneself. Nothing else. And that is what he did. Ramana Maharshi means whoever came and saw Bhagavan. Why did they came all the way to see him? To see that magic, that great miracle. What is that great miracle? He is very natural, that's all. 24 hours not doing any special spiritual practice. Very simple. 24 hours available. But you saw some person who is ever abiding in himself. It was like a manifested form of yoga. Ever naturally himself. Tan nilayil nitral. He never claimed anything. And he said, you can also be like this. When one of his devotees, G.V. Subramaya, he told Bhagavan, I have so much problem in my life. His wife died, his child died, many things happened. And when he told Bhagavan all his sorrowful tale, Bhagavan listened to it with compassion and said, why don't you be like me? He asked, why don't you be like me? And he said, Bhagavan, how can I be like you? Bhagavan said, why not? Am I not a human being like you? You are also like me. And Bhagavan narrated all the problems he had in the hill. Before he came down to Ramanashram, all the problems that he had to face from many people, very difficult days, those things he has not spoken. Many of those things he has not spoken. He was even poisoned. Many troubles he had to face. All those things he narrated to G.V. Subramaya. Hearing that G.V. Subramaya said, my life is much, much simple. Not much trouble. Because with so much trouble, with so much living in the open area, no ashram around, no constant security or companion or anything. In that state, he had so many problems, and he said, you have to learn from me only this. Problems you cannot avoid, difficulties you cannot avoid, but the only thing that you can do is abide in the heart center, which is always secure, where no problem can penetrate inside. Just as you go to deep sleep, whatever may be that day, whatever incidents have happened that day, the moment you enter that deep sleep state, you are free of the world, you are free of the body, you are free of the ego sense, everything, and there is a fulfillment. You are in the self. But the moment you wake up, the I arises, the mind blossoms, comes out, bringing in all the problems. So consciously go to that state and abide there. Bhagavad Gita says, here you can dissolve the world. One friend of Swami Vivekananda, one elderly lady, she wrote some letter advising him how to organize in America. She said, you should be like this, you should be like that, you do this. No. So Ramakrishna used to say, when you touch a horse, you can understand whether the horse is a very furious horse, or very energetic horse, or a very dull horse. You just touch it in the backside near the tail, it will just take a jump. Naren is like that. You say Narendra is, Vivekananda is like that. You can know him only when you just kindle him. Then his thing will come out. So like that, this elderly woman, she wrote a letter, and you know what he wrote in back to her? Many things he wrote. But in the end he wrote, my dear mother. He called her mother, my dear mother. You are all little babies. The babies should submit to be taught. You are yet to drink that potion which makes world a zero and logic a nonsense and man God. I have drunk that potion which will make the world a zero and logic as nothing, nonsense, and man is no more there, only God is there. Then you will dare to walk out of your God, that is society. And he said, your God, that is society. So that when you recognize it, sannyasa is not a path. Renunciation is not a path. Renunciation is the fruit of self-knowledge. When you have light, you just walk in light. Just all other things drop off. Renunciation, Shankaracharya said, is the fruit of true knowledge, true intelligence. So, when you know that, then you decide to abide in the real nature. As we said, you recognize death in various forms. You recognize that associating with anything, the non-self, will just disturb you. Then you decide, no more of this business. Just Chumma iru. This is the teaching that Arunachala gave to many. Even to Bhagavan also he said, Chumma iru. Be still. That is why for many Christians, Bhagavan gave this teaching from Bible. He said, be still and know that I am God. The teaching is be still, and the knowing has to happen inside you. The teaching is simply be still, and the recognition has to happen that I am within you. The chit, the awareness. Very beautiful word is the chit. That awareness, it shines forth. incessantly, eternally it is shining forth in your heart. You recognize that is infinite. God means that is infinite, that is true love, that is peace, that is wholeness, that is fulfillment, that is free of time, free of space, free of causation, free of all the troubles. That kind of an island, in the Shakta Sampradaya, they say Divine Mother is worshipped as staying in an island, Manidvipa. And that is the heart center, it's the dweep, it's the island within you, which is ever free. And the point in again and again giving you the example of deep sleep is to make you recognize that there is a center in you which is ever free. You only thing is you have to learn the art of walking to that home. Whenever you want, freely to move to that center and abide there, so that nothing will affect you. And Krishna demonstrated this by abiding there in the battlefield. Not in an ashram. Around him the battle was happening. So many things. That was a symbolic thing, You can take it as a symbolic thing. Life brings all kind of conflicts, inexplicable things happening around you. And you will go on asking, why? If that is not happening, I will meditate. That can never happen. The very purpose that is happening in front of you is to distract you, not to make you meditate. Guru will make you meditate. Maya will tell you, wake up. She will cry, weep, think, produce thoughts. The power of Maya is to make you produce thoughts. And the power of Shastra or Guru is to make you still. Abide in the heart. These two conflicting forces will be always there in nature. You win when you move more and more towards that. That is why we need constant satsanga. We need constant spiritual sadhana in any form, simple sadhana, or at least staying in aloneness, solitude, doing some japa, some meditation, some reading, always keeping yourself in a plane where you are not scattered. You are not distracted. Some tirtha kshetra, somewhere you keep yourself. So, this is very, very important. So here, Bhagavan says, Tan nilayil nitral talai. The greatest thing is to abide in your real nature. Tan nilai means one's own real nature. To abide in one's swarupa is the most auspicious thing that you can do. The most auspicious thing. Mangala. Nothing else is great than that. Once you have that, you need not do anything. That is japa, that is sandhya vandana, that is puja, that is giri pradakshana. You are able to do that. You need not get this. Sometimes that also can become a conflict. I am meditating, people are going around the hill. So, this can also become a conflict. So the greatest thing is, if you can abide in the heart and go around the hill, that is okay. If you can, by going around the hill, meditate on the self, it is okay. Bhagavan said, you should walk like a queen. With all that gambhirya, that gait, keeping your mind in the heart, constantly inquiring or investigating or just holding on to this awareness of I within you. Slowly walk. Sometimes Bhagavan will walk like that. He will do Giri Pradakshana in one day. Sometimes 2 days also. We do it 2.5 hours. Very fast. And by the time you come back shattered, tired. That is a good exercise. But as a spiritual practice, that meditativeness and no distraction, slowly now the whole road is full of vehicles, all distractions. But the thing is, nothing outside can give you that fulfillment. Even God outside will one day leave you. Your own body will deceive you. Anything outside will leave you. The only thing which is the most auspicious is your own inner being, the knowledge of that inner being, anything that helps you to get anchored there, which will make you hold to that, again and again remind you about that purpose. And again you find your way back to that source and abide there. And Bhagavan here says that is talai. Talai means the greatest thing that you can do. One day Bhagavan was walking from Goshala, the cow shed, to the ashram. That was some special occasion, perhaps Kartikeya Deepam or some special day or Navaratri. They have put this decoration with rice powder. We call it kolam. So I have drawn a beautiful peacock there with that. Seeing that, Bhagavan's attendant said, "See Bhagavan, how beautiful it is." Bhagavan looked at it from various angles and remarked, "Yes, it is so beautiful. It needs tremendous attention and great dexterity to do this. Self-realization is much easier," he said. That was his remark. He said, self-enquiry is very, very more simple than this. See, when we see the complexity of the worldly life and what all things you have to learn, and every time changing, constantly learning, that kind of trouble, when you see, spiritual life is very, very simple. Too simple. That is why Bhagavan said, it's very simple. Bhagavan said, in Shankaracharya, even Shankaracharya said, this grammar will not help you. Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam. All these things, you need not struggle much. My own life, I used to tell people, perhaps this is a different kind of intellect. Only, I used to jocularly remark, I used to humorously tell that only very recently I could make difference between a computer and grinder. Or computer and washing machine. Only that much so-called IQ I have. But this self-knowledge was so simple to me. People say bhakti is simple, this is simple, that is simple. I find this is the most simplest thing. It has already happened to you. It is your very being. It needs no special power or anything for that. You have to, just like you wear a garland in your neck and become constantly aware of it. Sometimes you forget and you seek. Somebody say it is there. And you, oh, it is there, recognize. Like that is satsanga. You forget and Guru or a saint or somebody reminds you, you are that, you recognize it. Then the joy comes. You have a great treasure. Bhagavan says it is the unsought divine treasure. Not much seeking is needed, not much trouble is needed. Thedadu Utranal Tiru Arul Nidhi. This is Ramanacharanatirtha. Bhagavan says, Thedadu means not much seeking is needed. Tiru means the divine, the sacred. Arul means grace, and Nidhi means treasure. The treasure is already there within you as your own self, as your own inner being, and God is that. You are finding it easier to keep God somewhere. so that you will not disturb your life. You will have privacy from God. Otherwise you are afraid because he will constantly get angry about you, about your work, about your doing. So that Ishvara is in your very being, in your very center, as your own inner self, the changeless principle, the Satchidananda, as existence, as awareness, as fulfillment, as peace. To know him, the purpose is, the Shastras say, go to a teacher who knows, listen to him. This is what the Shastras say, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha. First you listen, then you deeply contemplate, then you have it in your being, then you try to hold on to that state. It will come and go. Don't expect it to happen like Ramana Maharshi. One day he closed the room door and lied down, stretched himself, felt death has come and woke up as an enlightened being. If you expect like that, nothing will happen. You will go to sleep. But I am not telling that you are not Bhagavan, that is why it will not happen. It is not that. That is not the process. All Bhagavan himself said, my all work was perhaps finished already. It only needed a little touch. So generally the way is, it is like you enter a dark room, you strain your eyes to see, and slowly you start seeing around. Like that, this knowledge also, first when you listen, it looks vague, it looks abstract, it looks difficult, but slowly you find, because your intellect is trained to understand complex things. Bhagavata says, the brain is given to you so that you will never understand the Atma. Atmane akalpanaya. It says not to have the kalpana of the Atma. All these things, the brain, the senses, the mind are so that you will always see the world. Now you have to slowly turn it inward, train it, discipline it, put it in order. All the other sadhanas, japa, pranayama, yoga, bhakti, everything is only to cleanse it, to wash it, so that it becomes very simple. It learns to understand simple things, not complex things. Then that utter simplicity, Bhagavan simplified even mathematics. In Ulladu Narpadu, there is a verse where Bhagavan says, there is only one number in max. I could not get this max when I was studying. I was struggling with max. Bhagavan said, there is only one number. People think there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bhagavan said there is only one. You add another one and makes it 2. You add another one and makes it 3. There is only one. One getting married to another one becomes 2. So there is only one. No collection is there. So even in Max, Bhagavan brought this Advaita, non-duality. And he said it is so simple. That is why he ran away from school. The great poet in Tamil Nadu, Subramanya Bharati, he was finding it very difficult to study Max. So his uncle asked him, do some arithmetic, some sum. And he said, in Tamil you will not understand. He said, it is ridiculous. He said, somebody has given me something and I have to give him something back. All these things looks ridiculous. Kanakku pinakku maa manakku. That is his poem, first of all. This is all ridiculous. So, because the truth is so simple. When you know it, love becomes natural. Love is not this emotional thing. What all Buddha and everyone called as dharma, it is pure love. When you find that everyone is your own self, then naturally it's like this hand is itching. This hand is not thinking whether I should help. He is related to me so that I will go and It's that it spontaneously happened. So the entire purpose of this education is to find that skill of spontaneity. And Bhagavan was simply spontaneity. He was nisarga, means spontaneous. He was always spontaneous, spontaneity. So that to discover the spontaneity in you, that Ganga Tirtha in you, which can always keep you fresh, clean, that is yoga. And Bhagavan said, Talai, that is the greatest thing that you can attain. Tan nilayil nitral, means you no more identify with the body, you no more identify with the mind, you no more mix yourself with this upadhi, limitation, adjuncts. You keep yourself as pure consciousness. If you can do it even for a second, even for a moment, Shankaracharya says, you have done all the rituals, you have done all the purifying Tirtha Yatra, you have done all the yaga, yajna, everything, even for a kshana. என்ன ஸ்லோகம் அது தெரியுமா? க்ஷணமாத்திரம் லீனம் மனஹா ஸ்நாதம் தேன சமஸ்த தீர்த்த நிவஹே. அப்புறம் Dattam, all the dana is given, he has taken bath in all the pure holy rivers, he has worshipped all gods, everything is done. If his mind stays in that state even for a second, even for a moment, if your prarabdha is not allowing you to have all that abundance, even for a moment you have that abundance, then you remember, recollect that state and you feel gratitude for it. That is bhakti. That is gratitude, that is bhakti. Bhagavan has given even a little bit to me. That is enough. I don't want any more. Even the taste of the divine is given to me. Now I am ready, whatever he wants me to do, to serve him in all these forms. So, tan nilayil nitral talai, to abide in that state is the greatest thing. And to abide that, yan kettu tan nilayil nitral talai, the I, the ego must be annihilated. This is a very profound thing. No? Once, one worker, one generally here we have to say a very poor person who was a shepherd in the hill, who has seen Bhagavan in 1920s or before that in the hill. He later on came to ashram as an old person to see the same Swami here. But when he came, he saw the ashram has grown around Bhagavan. And Bhagavan was no more staying in Virupaksha cave. He was sitting in a very throne-like couch. A fan, table fan is there. And many rich people are around. Many things are happening. And these Tiruvannamalai people, these local people, native people here, they always have the spirituality in their cell. Because they have seen through generations many saints, they have moved and served with many siddhas. Now it is very difficult to locate who belongs to Tiruvannamalai. So many people have come. But when you come in contact with a native person, you will know he belongs to Tiruvannamalai. Because just like Haridwar or Rishikesh, this is the only place where you will come across such people in the south. So, this person came and saw Bhagavan. Then he remarked, Swami, kettu poite Swami. He said, Swami, you are spoiled. In Tamil, kettupoite means you are destroyed also is a translation. So, you are spoiled. That is what he meant. Bhagavan said, yes, come on. Yes, he made some remark. Bhagavan said, yes, all correct. And some devotees who were around, they were shocked. This person is speaking with such audacity that you are spoiled. And Bhagavan says, Saridan. They asked Bhagavan, why do you accept when he says this? Bhagavan said, what he says is right. The I is gone. That is annihilation only. That is destruction. Bhagavan took it like that. Yan kettu tannilayil nitral thalai. And he said, what is that? So, another way you can see, nothing affected Bhagavan. Nothing could make him identify with the body or the world. That is Ramana Maharshi. So, here Bhagavan says, when the I is no more arising, operating, disturbing, ahankaram irukkumate, as long as this I, this self-assertion, this ego is again and again arising, you will have all the dualistic things around you. The world, an imaginary God, and your own I, the ego. These three things you have to accept. As long as you consider the ego, the jiva as you will certainly have the world around you, and you have to consider a creator also. But the moment you know what the jiva is made of, what is this jiva bhava, this I, then you know that neither the I exists nor the world exists. No separate creator away. The creation has happened here in your very being. The Satchidananda, that Purna Vastu is here in you as your own self. And there, when the moment the mind arises, everything arises. When the mind subsides, everything subsides. That Purnatva, that wholeness is here and now in you. If you realize it here and now, iha ched avedit, atha satyam asti. The Upanishad says, if you realize it here, then you are really successful. Nachedi havedit, mahati vinashti. If you fail to know it here, then that will be a great loss. So, to know it, even if you have some yogic experience, all those things will come and go. So you have to listen, then know that you are already having that in you, recognize it, and slowly become familiar with that egoless state and get habituated to abide in that state. It is not going to be a one-day business. This sport between God and Jiva will be constant. Slowly, the very sport is your sadhana. Constantly, you are encountering forces around you, time, destiny, suffering, pain, pleasure, everything will be around. Amidst that, you have to again and again remember that nothing is happening. There is only one whole, Purna. I spoke about a great person, Balakrishnan. When I met him in a hospital, he was having some serious physical problem. Just like a worldly visit, where you have to show some concern. We went there, but he did not allow us to speak. In that hospital room, he said, here only Brahman exists. Nothing else. No creation. Only Brahmanubhava, the experience of the self. He did not allow even people to speak, because the moment you allow them to speak, they will hypnotize you. Every person is coming to hypnotize us. The very thing that he comes and tells you that I am here is a hypnosis. So, the Vedanta is constantly you cleanse any foreign particle in the self, any anatma in the self. Remove the non-self, and you need not bring in the self. The self is already shining forth as your very being. It is the simplest thing that can exist. It is the most simplest thing. Compared to the simplicity of self, Atma, body is very complex. You can never understand the body. It is impossible to, even for a doctor, a medical specialist, he will say, I know only liver. I do not know kidney. You go to some kidney specialist. And you go to him, he will say some other person, he will direct. And you just think this medical science is finding new particle, new limbs, new areas inside the body. Just like they find new planets. Once when I was studying in the school, they said 9 planets. Now they say it is only 8. I don't know where my mark went. So these things are actually very complex. The so-called thing you learn in school through the books. Even about your body, if you say it is complex, what to speak about other things? The astral things. And God. We say God is very simple, but God, many gods people are speaking. We are not sure about any God. And you go on ignoring the God that has happened to you. So it is so simple, sarala. It is so direct. The Upanishad says immediate, aparoksha. It is in the very center, in your very being, as aham, aham. And that is Arunachala. Carry that fire inside you. It is not the fire that is lit only once in a year. It is the primordial fire which will never become dim. Only thing, sometimes cloud will cover it. Remove Jyoti Urukat Arunachala. Bhagavan in Arunachala Aksharamanamala says, reveal your splendorous form. Reveal your form as flame. And that flame, the gentle, most gentle flame. The Upanishad Veda says it is the gentlest thing that can happen. Ardram jvalati jyotihi aham asmi. The Upanishad. It says Ardram means very gentle, very mild, very deeply fulfilling flame is inside you, as I am, as I. The moment you recognize it, you are never going to lose. Because you don't need any outer mantra, you don't need any outer ritual. It is all you can do, but only to turn towards this center. The altar is in you. The temple, your very body is the temple, and Shiva is in you as your very being, revealing in all glory. So, Bhagavan said, to know that is the greatest thing that you can do. If you are ready to do that, it is very simple. Otherwise, this Vedic tradition will say you should do this, you should do that. All rituals are needed, everything. But the moment you say, I only want this, they said, come on, you are free. Now you don't need to do anything. Nayam rini kinkaro va sabhuman. He says he is neither indebted to gods, nor to his generations, nor to anybody. He is free. No, the moment the disciple recognizes it, that traditionally, when sannyasa is given and the Mahavakya is given, whether the disciple instantaneously realizes or not, the Guru considers the disciple as a jnani and worships the disciple. He puts flower in his head, shows the arati and says, "You are Shiva. You are Parameshwara." So this is the tradition. So this is the thing. We are all very, very rich people. And the richness is the treasure that you are all carrying in your heart. Arunachala, you are not in Arunachala. Arunachala is in you as your own being, which you can never miss. The moment you feel that you are missing, you need some therapy. And that is satsang. That is the only purpose of satsang. You can have a book, open Bhagavan's talks, and he will remind you. He should make you remember that. And Bhagavan said, if you go to a guru, if he is not making you remember this, instead he says, you go and do this, go and do that, he is again pushing you into the stream of death. So once you are initiated into this science, the only purpose of Guru or Shastra is to again and again put you back into this stream and make you hold on to that throb within you as aham, 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 I. We will see tomorrow. We will continue. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Yato mamatma bhavasittvameva tato na vachyam mama kinchidasti yathata vishtam kurumam tathaiva tvam atmanatham ramanam.